Hello friends, welcome back to the bench. Thank you very much for joining me. We have a motherboard from Chaz from Canada, fully assembled. However, let me dig it out of the box. So this is a heatsink from the SSDs. And that's it over here. And it got detached. So either, well, probably it was mounted properly, because you just gonna do it like this, right? And it's not supposed to detach by itself, but either it did in the shipping or it wasn't just clicked on, which means it was just rattling in the box, and we have plenty of damage from it. So here we have the memory stick, or the memory slot damage. About 2 slots damaged. Let's see further. So let's see this slot over here. So at the top, it actually looks okay. I don't see much damage over here. There's the damage, but maybe it's just thermal compound, thermal paste. Maybe it's not damaged. Now looking at it closer, it doesn't look like it's damaged. So this probably will be removed after ultrasonic cleaning, but this definitely is a rather significant damage. It was, the board itself was packaged really well. There was a lot of packing material and everything. But this was just inside the box. So inside the box, there was no packaging or packing material, right? So it was just rattling over here, which, it could mean, this one's surprisingly good. It could mean that some of our caps are shorted, because if this hit a single cap, it's gonna cause a short. Let's see the cap over here. 250. That's probably fine, because that's on memory. If it was shorted cap, we would see the 0. These are coils. There's more caps over here. This is fine, and 200 millivolts. If it's on V-Core, I mean, without the CPU, V-Core shouldn't have low resistance. I mean, it could have a few hundred ohms. Also, because the board is here for socket replacement, so some of these pins might be touching, causing short on V-Core, so this is quite normal. We have nothing on V-Core. Yeah. So there's essentially a short on V-Core, but that's most likely from these pins just touching over here. This is pretty common. So we should probably have shorts over here as well. We don't. Or yeah. I mean, it's 40 milliamps. So not a dead short. If this was a broken cap, the short would be 0, 0. So that is unfortunately a problem with sending fully assembled boards. They are heavy. They are just physically heavy. That's why disassembled boards are cheaper, because I don't have to pay that much. You don't have to pay that much for shipping. I don't have to pay much for shipping, and there's less probability of damage because the mass is greatly reduced. So there's always that risk. So let's hope, now let's see, the customer did send his CPU and the brackets. Okay. All right. So I guess there was some misunderstanding, because yeah, the CPU bracket was removed, but that's not what disassembled means, because the primary reason is the weight, right? Weight and the time that is needed to disassemble the board. So you could do it the opposite way, or the opposite would be better if you just removed all the heatsink and everything and just left the CPU bracket on. That's fine. So this is the opposite. Only the bracket was removed and it was still sent, so it makes no difference. I mean, it makes difference if you disassemble the board and sand all of the pieces with it. It really makes no difference. It's the same weight, right? So the main issue here is to reduce weight. There's plenty of heat sinks on this one, and let's not break the CPU. And there's a back plate. But sometimes it's plastic, sometimes it's metal. This one feels like it's metal. Yeah. Which, you know, on the one hand, it keeps the board protected for the shipping, which is good. But on the other hand, it's a lot of mass, so it can suffer bigger faults, more serious faults. The socket is 1700. The outline is, well, again, it's sitting on the left line, right? And it's bumped from the right line, and it's sitting at on the bottom line, and it's away from the top line. So it's shifted a little bit bottom left corner. So let's make a note of that. The CPU that we were sent is i9 14th generation. That's a serious CPU. You didn't need to send it because, you know, boards don't really come with testing, and I don't really even have a heatsink for this. So that's the reason why do I not do testing. Yeah, I do receive comments from time to time saying that, oh, no testing, what a shame, what a unprofessional behavior or whatever. And you know, I agree. If you wanna if you wanna do it for $50 with testing, right, and guarantee that it's gonna work, then you go ahead. I'm not gonna stop you. So after the replacement, after the cleaning, so say what is it, an hour for the procedure alone, right, to replace the socket alone. In this case, also the disassembly. So another, say, half an hour for disassembly. I mean, you can probably do it in 5-10 minutes, especially if you work on the same boards over and over. Then about half an hour for ultrasonic cleaning, then drying. And obviously you want to dry it before you start working on it too. So we have about 2 hours, right? Then drying, give it a day, right? I wouldn't turn it on the same day it was ultrasonically cleaned. I mean, I blow it with the compressed air, sure, so it is mostly dry, but I give it 24 hours before I would turn it on. So 24 hours, then you turn it on and it doesn't work, right? What do? Well, do you replace another socket? Do you reflow the socket? Sometimes reflow helps, and sometimes it is just a damage to the board, right? Due to flexing, warping, that kind of stuff. So what do you do then? Do you not charge the customer? Or do you actually charge the customer $50 for all that? So again, if you want to do that, and that includes the replacement socket. So 1700 sockets, they're like more than $10 a piece, right? AM5 you can find cheaper, but 1700s they're pretty pricey for some reason. That includes shipping, so there's another $15 for shipping on average. It depends on location, obviously, but on average you can count that it's roughly $15. So essentially, you know, be my guest. If you can show me that you can do it, first of all, that you can actually do it, right? That you can actually replace the socket without damaging the board, without melting the socket, essentially making the board look like it did before, right? That's the goal. In many cases, it just goes to RMA. So it really doesn't matter if it works or not. And I just noticed during this assembly that we have a coil that fell off. Yeah, that was caused by that heatsink. Now this is very not good. So we're gonna have to solder on that coil, but we can do it right now because the board is cold. It's gonna be very difficult to do it when the board is cold. I mean, it's possible if you also work with the hotter. Let's disconnect the battery, number one, especially since, you know, we're gonna be ultrasonically cleaning all that. And the final heatsink on the PCH. And it also has a cable for the LEDs, because that's important somehow on the motherboards. I don't know when that became a thing, but it became a thing that the board needs to have plenty of LEDs that serve some purpose, I guess. I'm not sure what purpose they serve, but especially, you know, in my view, the computer is usually sitting somewhere underneath the desk or something, unless you actually put the computer on top of your desk, but that's a waste of space in my view. I mean, if all you do is, you know, computer work and you don't need room on the desk, then yeah, I guess that's fine just as well. But I would not want to waste my desk space with a big computer on it. So all those LEDs are just sitting underneath the desk, nobody sees them, and they just waste electricity, in my view. It's not like the keyboard, the lit up keyboard or mouse, or at least you can see that. Alright, I like to replace all the screws, so I don't have to be guessing later which screw goes where. Although these are relatively straightforward. Looks like we have no damage to the pads after removal, because sometimes when you remove the heatsink, the pads get damaged when they were, oh, I don't know, overheated or maybe some liquid damage or what have you. And you can't really replace them. I mean, you could, you should, but again, this is roughly a $50 service. Well, with the disassembly, it's more expensive, sure. This one went here, but I'm not sure. I think I lost any. I think this one went here. Well, we'll see during this assembly. Now all the screws go in the box, except this one that I lost now. There she is. Okay, so we have all the screws over here, the CPU and stuff. Now this is disassembled version, right? It's significantly lighter. Now we can also remove these screws over here and remove like additional USBs or Wi-Fi and stuff, but you don't have to do that. That doesn't make much of a difference. And likewise with these bottom heat sinks, they can be unscrewed, they can be removed, but they make very little difference. So also don't worry about that. The board is warped, but this is a big board. This is yeah, this is pretty common. Now the problem with this is that the board is too big for my machine, so we won't be able to hold it by these holes. That's usually I hold it by these two and these two over here, right? So it's not sagging too much. But this one we will not be able to hold like that. So there's going to be a little bit more warping on this one than we normally do. But with our slow preheat profile, it's not a significant warping. It's fine. Also, we have a hole in the middle. So if it warps too much, all the flux is gonna drop on the heater. Now I've been using my RA flux for a few days now, and I think it works a lot better than my previous blends. The difference essentially is only in the acid that I use in it. So it should be available very soon. I'm also resuming international shipping for the flux. I tallied the returns. It turns out it was a lot less than I thought it would be. I was thinking that if it's going to be 10% returns, I'll live with that, but it's even less than that, even less than 10%. So we're good. So unfortunately, in some cases, if you order from some countries that have a problem, and sometimes it's not even about the country, sometimes it's the particular, I don't know, post office, or I don't know, because I deliver, 5 packages, they all go to the same country, but one of them is returned that the country doesn't allow that or something like that. But 4 others, they had no problem with. Same country. It's different region of the country. Maybe that's it. You know how it is. Now, once the board is hot, I will see, once I remove the socket, I'll see if I can resolder this coil over here. Because if you start the PMIC, or the chip that is actually controlling that coil, and there's no load, right? So you're connected to one side of the coil, but the other side of the coil is open, so it's working with no load. That also means that it doesn't have a feedback, most likely, because most likely feedback is on the other side of the coil. So a lot of bad stuff can happen if you have a configuration like that. So let's check all the other coils. Yeah, it's only this one. Yeah, it must have been hit by that heatsink. Yeah, that one little heatsink made a lot of problems here. But let's hope it's not that bad. Let's hope this is gonna work. All right, let's speed up the footage and let's get the socket replaced.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in their cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush. Take my eyes open to force reality. Why can't you just let me eat my weight in glee? I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in their cradles, profanities. Some days I feel skinnier than all the other days. Sometimes I can't tell if my body belongs to me. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush. Content, hold your breath and feel the tension. Devils hide behind redemption. Honesty is a one-way gate to hell. I wanna taste consumption. Breathe faster to waste oxygen. Hear the children sing aloud. It's music till the wick burns out. Be carefree lately, yeah. Just picking up daisies, got four-leaf clovers in my locket. Untied laces, yeah. Just tripping on daydreams. Got dirty little lullabies playing on repeat. Might as well just ride around the nursery and count sheep.
All right, the replacement is done. This was brutal because the board is huge, so it radiates all that heat quickly. So you have to heat it up in this spot relatively high. I don't know if you guys noticed, but this was quite a few minutes of keeping it on the the reflow step. I had to repeat that step twice, and then I bumped to 220, then to 225 because the socket wouldn't release. Then when I did remove it, I had a suspicion that I may have pulled the pad, but luckily I didn't. It just looked like it, but then I just wiped it with my finger and the pad was there. So we have no ripped pads or anything. The socket is aligned. It looks good. It looks like it did before. So this should be good. It is nice and solid, but we'll see after cleaning. Now, as far as cleaning, actually with Omega Flax, recently I found that it's actually a lot better if you just put it in alcohol. That's it, right? Warm alcohol. So I just put it in the ultrasonic cleaner and I just soak it over there. Then just 5 minutes of ultrasonic cleaning and it's perfectly clean. If you just put it in the ultrasonic cleaner, even if you give it half an hour, it's not enough. You can still see that there was flux. However, this board is black. On black boards, it's not a big issue. It's more of an issue on white boards. Also, you notice that we have Rework Pro 119. It hasn't been released yet, but the main features are the skip button. So the purpose of it is when I let's load the profile. So when I'm done lifting, right? So this is only 160, it probably should be even higher. When I'm done lifting, I lifted the socket, then I just hit skip, or if I can just wait for it to be done, but I just hit skip, and it goes to my last, which is keep warm, and it just keeps the board at 175, essentially indefinitely, 9,900 seconds. Second thing, we can add beep to each step. So when that step is reached, it'll give you the alarm. So I just put it on essentially over here, right? And I just go away, and as soon as I reach this step, I hear the sound, so I know I have to go back to the machine and start actually doing something. Now with board this big, obviously it did deform, or it did warp. Hopefully not too much. Maybe for boards big like this, it already returned to the, it's nice and flat now, so it returned to its position. But with boards this big, I suspect that maybe we should even do a longer preheat, but it's got to be higher temperature because the board just loses temperature very quickly because it's really big. I can touch it over here. It's not hot, right? So I was checking with the thermal camera. The temperature on the rest of the board was relatively low. So the board is just cooling too quickly. That's why I couldn't remove the socket this easily. So with big boards, unfortunately, the success rate is lower. No way around that. But it looks good. Hopefully it'll work. We'll hear about that. Thank you, Chaz, very much for your business. Thank you guys very much for watching. And I shall see you in the next one.